The account reads $2 million and you don't feel anything. That's the part nobody warned you about. Not the number, the nothing. You still have the sticky note on your monitor from 3 years ago. $10,000. Don't lose it. Your handwriting, blue pen, slightly crooked. You wrote it the night before your first trade, when losing felt like something that happened to other people. When $10,000 was every dollar you had saved across 4 years of a salary that barely covered rent and a car that needed work you kept postponing. You don't remember writing it. You remember the feeling of writing it, the specific, clean fear of someone who still has something to lose. That feeling is gone. You're not sure when it left. The first trade takes you 11 days to place. You have the account open, the platform loaded, the ticker pulled up, and for 11 days, you close the laptop before you click confirm. Not because the analysis is wrong, because the analysis is right. And right still means you could lose everything. And at $10,000, everything is a number with a face on it, a specific shape. 4 years of packed lunches and declined invitations, and a vacation you told yourself you'd take next year. On day 12, you place the trade. $10,000 into a leveraged ETF tracking the S&P 500. 2 times. A macro bet on a Fed pivot that 3 different analysts on 3 different forums have all arrived at independently, which means either the trade is obvious or the trade is obviously wrong. And at the time, you cannot tell the difference. You close the laptop. You don't check it for 6 hours. When you open it, the position is up $340. $340 in 6 hours. You have never made $340 in 6 hours in your life. You don't sleep well that night, but not from anxiety, from something closer to voltage, a current you didn't know your body could carry. The first 3 months teach you one thing that no course, no book, no forum thread ever stated plainly. The market doesn't care how hard you worked on the trade. You spend 40 hours analyzing a pharmaceutical company's FDA trial data, cross-referencing with comparable approvals, modeling 3 outcome scenarios with probability weights, and the stock moves against you on a rumor from an anonymous account with 400 followers. You lose $1,200 in an afternoon. The rumor is false. The stock recovers 4 days later. You are no longer in the position. You sit with the $1,200 for a week. Not the loss, the lesson. The lesson being that the market is not a test you can study for. It is a system that occasionally rewards preparation and occasionally punishes it with identical indifference. The traders who last aren't the ones who study harder. They're the ones who stop needing the market to be fair. You stop needing it to be fair somewhere around month 4. You can't point to the day. You just notice one morning that a $900 loss produces the same internal response as a $900 gain. A brief notation, a recalibration, and then you move on. Your girlfriend asks how trading is going over dinner, and you say fine, and mean it in a way that has nothing to do with the money. She notices something. She doesn't say what. By month 7, the account is at $34,000. You have turned $10,000 into $34,000 through a combination of 1 large winning position in energy sector volatility during a supply disruption, 4 medium wins on earnings plays you'd spent weeks setting up, and 11 losses that you cut early enough that they barely registered. The wins weren't lucky. They were the product of a process you built, trade by trade, failure by failure. $200 loss by $200 loss, until the process had more integrity than any single outcome. You don't celebrate the $34,000. You note it, update the spreadsheet you've kept since day 1, and start analyzing the next position. This is the thing that separates you from the people who cash out at $34,000 and spend it on something visible. You have stopped thinking of the number as money. It is fuel. It is inventory. It is the raw material of the next trade and the trade after that. The sticky note is still on the monitor. $10,000. Don't lose it. You keep it there not as a reminder of where you started, but as a record of who you were. That person would not recognize what you've become. You're not sure that's a problem. The $34,000 becomes $180,000 over the following 14 months. And the mechanics of how it happens are less interesting than what happens to you while it does. You develop a rhythm that other people read as confidence, and you know is something colder. A trained suppression of the emotional response to outcomes, good or bad, that used to cost you sleep, and now costs you nothing. You enter positions without hesitation. You exit them without regret. You stop explaining your trades to people who ask, because the explanation always sounds either arrogant or insane, and neither version is wrong. Your friend Marcus asks you at a party how you're doing it. You say risk management, position sizing, staying small until a setup is perfect. He nods. He opens an account the following week with $5,000, goes all in on a meme stock he saw trending, loses $3,800 in 2 days, and closes the account. You don't say anything when he tells you. You already knew. Not because you're smarter, because you made the same trade in a different form 3 years ago, and lost $1,400 in a single afternoon, and the loss was the tuition, and he skipped the tuition. There is a difference between knowing the rules and having paid for them. You have paid for them. That payment is not transferable. The $180,000 crosses $400,000 on a Tuesday morning in February, when a position you've held for 6 weeks finally breaks through resistance on above average volume and runs 34% in a single session. You're at your desk when it happens. You watch the number climb in real time. $310,000, $340,000, $370,000, $400,000. And you feel the same thing you feel watching water boil. You close half the position at $400,000, hold the other half with a trailing stop, and go make coffee. Your hands are completely steady. That steadiness is not composure. It is the absence of something that used to be there. You don't name it. You pour the coffee. The trailing stop triggers at $388,000. Total gain on the trade, $214,000 in 6 weeks. You update the spreadsheet. You start looking for the next setup before the coffee is finished. Somewhere around $600,000, the nature of the decisions changes. The math is the same, the process is the same, but the numbers have grown large enough that they've crossed back over into meaning something. Not to you, but to everyone around you. Your girlfriend knows the approximate figure now. She knows it from a conversation she wasn't supposed to overhear. Numbers you were running out loud while on the phone with your broker about margin capacity. She doesn't bring it up directly. She brings it up sideways, in questions about the future, about stability, about what this looks like in 5 years. And you hear underneath every question the thing she isn't asking. Who are you now? And is that person someone I agreed to be with? You don't have a clean answer. You give her an incomplete one. She accepts it, for now. The broker conversation was about leverage. You had been trading with 2 times leverage on select positions, measured, disciplined, within the parameters of a risk model you'd spent 8 months refining. The conversation was about whether to increase capacity on winning setups. Your broker, a man named Calloway, who's been doing this for 22 years and speaks in the specific, flat cadence of someone who has watched many people have this exact conversation, says, "The math supports it if your process holds." He pauses. Your process has held. You increase the capacity. The process holds. The account crosses $900,000 in March. You don't tell anyone when it crosses $1 million. Not your girlfriend, not your parents, not Marcus. You update the spreadsheet. You note the date. You sit at the desk for a while, looking at the sticky note. $10,000. Don't lose it. You are looking at it from the other side of a distance that has no name. The person who wrote that note made it with the specific fear of someone for whom $10,000 was everything. You are now looking at a number that is 100 times that, and what you feel is not pride or relief or the particular clean joy of having arrived somewhere you aimed for. What you feel is the faint awareness that the thing you were chasing and the thing you caught are not the same shape. You don't stay with the feeling. There's a setup forming in semiconductor futures, and you've been watching it for 9 days, and it is almost ready. The account is at $1.4 million in September when you make the first decision that cannot be explained by the process. Not because the process failed, because you stopped following it. A macro position in oil futures, a thesis you've held since July, has been moving sideways for 11 weeks. The setup is still valid. The thesis is still intact. The The position is sized correctly, but 11 weeks of sideways movement against a background of rising volatility in energy markets produces something in you that you have trained out of your system and that comes back anyway: impatience. A specific, quiet, dangerous impatience that sounds like confidence from the inside. You double the position size, not because the model supports it, because you are tired of waiting and you are right, and being right should move faster than this. The position moves against you the following day, then the day after. By day 3, you are down $180,000 on a position that was supposed to be the clean, patient, process-driven trade that everything before it was building toward. You cut it. $180,000 gone in 4 days. The thesis was right. The timing was wrong. The sizing was inexcusable. You update the spreadsheet. You stare at the number. $1,220,000. You have just lost $180,000 in 4 days, and you still have $1.22 million. And somewhere in the math of that sentence is the thing that will cost you everything. The idea that a loss of that size is survivable, which it is, and therefore acceptable, which it is not. The account recovers. Of course it recovers. You are good at this. By December, it is at $1.6 million, and the oil trade is a notation in the spreadsheet, a row among hundreds, a lesson you tell yourself you've absorbed. You have absorbed the fact of it. You have not absorbed what it revealed about you, that the process is not something you believe in absolutely. It is something you follow when it's easy and override when it stops feeling fast enough. That distinction will matter. The account hits $2 million in the second week of January, a clean number, a number with a specific gravity. You look at it for a long time. You think about calling someone. You pick up the phone. You put it down. There is no one to call who would understand what this number is, and what it cost, and what it means that holding it feels like holding something that could still be taken. You pour a glass of water. You stand at the kitchen window for a while. The city is doing what cities do at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, moving, indifferent, without knowledge of your number or your spreadsheet or the sticky note that has been on your monitor for 3 years. $10,000. Don't lose it. The week that ends everything begins on a Monday, not with a catastrophic trade, not with a single catastrophic decision, with a news cycle. A Federal Reserve statement, unexpected in its language, aggressive in its implication, drops at 2 p.m. on a Monday and moves markets in ways that your positions, 6 of them, leveraged, large, were not structured to survive. Not individually, collectively. You close 2 immediately. The losses are significant but manageable. $140,000 across both positions, acceptable given the move. The remaining 4 you hold. Your thesis on all 4 is intact. The Fed language is being misread by the market. The reaction is an overreaction. You have been right about overreactions before. You have made $400,000 being right about overreactions. By Tuesday afternoon, the overreaction has become a repricing. By Wednesday morning, it is a regime shift. The 4 positions are down a combined $380,000, and the margin calls begin. Not from Callaway, from the system, automated, clinical, mathematically inevitable. You have until end of day to either close positions or deposit additional capital. You deposit $60,000 from a savings account you have not touched in 2 years. It buys you 1 day. Thursday, the market continues. You close 1 position. You hold 3. The margin call on Thursday evening is larger. You don't have the capital to meet it without closing positions. And closing the positions means crystallizing losses that the thesis says are temporary. And you have built 3 years of discipline on the foundation of trusting the thesis over the emotion. And right now, the thesis and the emotion are pointing in the same direction. And that should be a warning, and you treat it as confirmation. Friday, the market opens lower. Your broker calls at 8:47 a.m., not the automated system, Callaway, personally, in the flat, specific cadence of someone who has made this call before and will make it again. He says the numbers. He doesn't editorialize. He says you have until 10 a.m. to deposit $340,000 or the positions will be closed automatically. You don't have $340,000 liquid. You have $180,000 in a money market account and $2 million in open positions that are currently worth $800,000. You don't say anything for 4 seconds. You say, close them. The account reads $214,000 when the dust settles late Friday afternoon. 6 days, $1,786,000. Gone in 6 days across a series of decisions that each, examined individually, had a defensible logic, and that together built a structure with no exit. You sit at the desk for a long time. The spreadsheet is open. You don't update it. The sticky note is still there. $10,000. Don't lose it. You started with $10,000. You have $214,000. By the arithmetic of anyone who has not lived inside this week, you have made $204,000 from nothing. And that is a fact, and it is completely irrelevant to what you are feeling. Which is not grief exactly, not regret exactly, something more specific. The feeling of having held something real and having watched yourself in slow motion make the exact decisions you knew were wrong for reasons that felt right in a sequence that was always going to end here. You close the spreadsheet. You don't close the platform. You pull up the charts. 3 weeks later, a message comes through a trading forum you've been a member of for 2 years. Someone new, username created 4 days ago, asking about leveraged ETF strategies for someone starting with $10,000. The question is the exact question you would have asked 3 years ago, written in the exact language of someone who has done enough research to be dangerous and not enough to be careful. They've listed their thesis. The thesis is reasonable. The sizing they're proposing is not. You type a response. You delete it. You type it again. You tell them the thesis is solid and the sizing will end them. They respond in 6 minutes. How do you know? You look at the sticky note. You look at the platform. You look at the account that reads $214,000 and the spreadsheet with 3 years of trades in it and the number at the top that used to read $2 million. You don't answer the question. They'll get the answer the same way you did. That's the only way it transfers.